Hi everyone, this is Allison and I'm here with Bob and Brian, as well as Matt Avery and Johanna. So Matt Avery and Johanna during this session are going to be answering questions. So if you have any questions about challenges or virtual or anything that you're seeing here, feel free to type it into the question box. And you guys know that Matt Avery is the product manager, so he's probably going to actually be able to answer your questions correctly.
He's actually the only guy in this call that knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, we have no idea what we're talking about. But we're really excited for this presentation. We're going to be doing virtual case studies. And the way that we're going to present this session is we're going to break it into 3 sections. So the first section is just going to be talking about cool things we see races and nonprofits doing on our platform with virtual and challenge events. And then Brian's going to talk about marketing, and we're going to go into some little case studies of how we see challenges succeeding with different marketing techniques. And then the last part, Bob is going to talk more about the participant experience with virtual challenges, everything from like the digital swag to shipping and fulfillment to results. So just to start off, I know we've kind of talked about this a lot, but we did want to talk about the option to just go virtual. And so this option is when you have a single event, whether it's a 5K or a marathon, and you can convert it to a virtual event instead of canceling or postponing. This works best for an event that's already established and has happened before. It gives you an opportunity to raise money. People are used to doing your race, so it gives them that continuity and so that they will come back next year. That's not just your participants, but also people like your sponsors and volunteers. And then it also works well if you're doing like a 4th of July firecracker run or a turkey trot 5K, this virtual option.
One of the things that we talked about in one of the Zoom sessions yesterday was that a lot of the participants in your race, the sponsors for your race, actually feel a sense of loyalty to you, and they're very forgiving, especially this year, and so they want to find ways to support you, and so this gives them a way to continue that support.
Yeah, and we've hammered these pros of going virtual, the most important one being that you can make money this year. You may not get the same number of registrations and sponsor revenue coming in, but at the same time, you are going to save a lot of costs by not having an in-person event. And of course, our platform does let you go virtual on a $0 budget. And so it's worthwhile doing. And virtual races are here to stay. So we talk about virtual as being an option that's going to last after the pandemic. And I hear a lot of people saying, oh, I don't want to do another virtual race. Everyone's going virtual. And just remember, it's not a zero-sum game. Your participants want to support your race because they have a tie or connection to it. So just because you see a lot of other people doing it doesn't mean that you shouldn't as well. So we're just going to quickly start this off with some creative examples of real races that went virtual. To begin, of course, Scott Coffee Rotary Run. We did a webinar that was attended by more people than who actually registered for our virtual race. And then I did a follow-up blog talking about the marketing. And when I did that follow-up blog, we were actually ahead of registrations compared to the year before. So our virtual race was doing a lot better than our actual in-person race. We had a lot more people who were signing up from out of town, people who moved away, like high school kids that went off and didn't come back to town after college. And our race week was like the first week of June. And we decided to stop all of our marketing the week leading up to and through the virtual race week because the movement against police violence and racism in our country was going on. And honestly, that was just so much more important than this little virtual event for our town. And so, we didn't get the same number of registrations that we had in 2019, but we feel really good that we provided continuity. We had over 225 people, I think, that actually submitted their times. The interesting thing was we had a 236% increase in donations from 2019. That's because donations were focused on our town's COVID support. So it was like very relevant and something that people are thinking of. The other interesting thing is that nearly half of our registrations came directly from email marketing. So I posted all 3 email blasts that I sent out, so you can like look at that content and the text. But that was the main driver of registrations, and we did use RunSignup's free email marketing, so it was at a $0 cost.
We also did a little experiment with Facebook ads, and what we did is an ad just focused directly on people within, I think, like a 5-mile radius of Moorestown or with the Moorestown zip code. And we spent $100 and we got 29 participants from that directly. One of the tricks you can do in RunSignup is actually create a tracking code. And so when you post it on Facebook, you know exactly how many people came from that. So at $25, we had a very good return on that $100 that we spent on Facebook ads. We tied that to a time sensitive sort of thing. So we did that around our Cinco de Mayo $5 off special. The other interesting thing that people always are asking about this is sponsors. So we actually had a fair amount of success with keeping most of our sponsors engaged and collecting revenue from them. Some of them, like the grocery store, are doing better than ever. So they continue their $3,000 donation. Donations did, sponsorships did drop, and I don't have the exact numbers, but I think they dropped from about $25,000 to about $18,000.
Yeah, that's actually correct.
Yeah, and so we did have a drop, but we're also, we kept relationships with all those people, and we were very understanding that they could not, we did not put the hard press on them this year. But a number of them, also wanted to figure out ways to contribute and help us. So it was good.
The Harpoon 5-miler is usually a sellout race on our platform. I think they actually still hold the record for the highest number of registrations that happened in a single minute on our platform. I think it was like 2,100 in a minute.
Yeah, something like that.
And so this year they went virtual from the get-go. So COVID had already hit when they decided to launch a virtual event. They offer 2 options, a 6-pack option and a 12-pack. So their events were branded with the Harpoon Brewery theme. So the 12-pack option was only available for people who were in the Boston area and able to go and actually pick up their race shirt and 4-pack of beer. So they didn't have like difficulties with shipping or anything or additional costs with that. They did not have a sellout event this year, but they actually did see a 38% increase in the number of individual donors. And so the reason that Harpoon Brewery does this is their founders started it's called the Angel Fund, and it supports ALS research. So the company is very tied to this nonprofit. So it's very important that they can't just skip a year because their event is a fundraiser and they need to raise money for it. And so they raised about $9,000 less, but they saw a huge uptick in the number of people donating. So they were donating less money, but more people were willing to contribute to the cause. So I thought that was an interesting finding from it. And then Brian always recommends that when you go virtual for your event, you should make like a 25-second to a minute long video and put it on your race website, put it on your Facebook page. It doesn't have to be professional. It can just be, people talking, but theirs actually is really nice. So I was going to play it real quick. And they are using free domains, so they can direct people to harpoon5miler.com instead of a long, website address. So I think, having that type of video is really fun. It makes you like remember how fun that event is, and you want to support it during the virtual year so you can come back to it in person the next year. The Big Run is an in-person 5K that celebrates Global Running Week or Global Running Day every year at Fleet Feet locations nationwide. And this year they launched My Big Run. They got almost 11,000 participants signed up and raised over $40,000 for Girls on the Run. They had a $10 registration fee, so it was a very low cost virtual event, and they got everyone who signed up got a $15 voucher to the local Fleet Feet store. So it's a really great promotion for Fleet Feet, and it's a great, buy for people who participate and are going to, purchase a pair of running shoes or new running clothes. And then they upsold branded face masks as an add-on. So that's nice. And then they also do emails with training tips for my big run. So people are engaged and you have that ongoing promotion of the store throughout the experience. This is the virtual Dash for Donation, and Dash for Donation is a 5K that's been on our platform for a long time. It's a fundraiser for Lifeline of Ohio, and this year is the 21st annual year of it. Again, it's a fundraiser, so it doesn't make sense to skip a year. They have a lot of people who come out are used to doing this. The nice thing that they did this year is typically their registration fee, I think, is around $25. And this year they decreased it to an $8.50 reg fee. They gave people 8 days to complete the virtual 5K, and that pricing and the number of days you have to complete the 5K and log your results correlates to the number of lives an organ donor can potentially save and heal. So it's really nice how they tied their event, just everything about it, to their nonprofit's mission to make it more meaningful for those who are participating. Okay, so now we're going to talk about virtual challenge events. I think everyone at this point of the symposium probably knows what a challenge event is. I don't know if you want to add anything to this slide. You look like you want to talk.
No. Is it a challenge for you to talk about it?
So the examples that we're going to show during this section are just some creative things that I've seen customers doing, and they aren't limited to endurance, which is cool. Starting to see like a few creative examples that are getting set up on the platform. But let's go ahead and get started with some case studies of virtual challenges.
Yeah, and if you didn't figure out what the definition is, you'll figure it out
Yeah.
when you listen to some of these.
Okay, so this one is the Buffalo Marathon Summer Puzzle Challenge. I think this is such a creative challenge. So for this one, you're completing 4 different distances. You're doing a 5K, 10K, half, and full. And it's super open to every single level of participation, because you can complete any of those distances over multiple runs and walks. So if you can't run a marathon, you can do it over a period of 6 different runs and walks. And those total miles add up to your 26.2 challenge event. The Buffalo Marathon, I think they did a really good job of explaining why they were doing this challenge event. So the one reason is that they support a lot of local charity partners, and they're going to have all their participants vote on the top 3 charities that are going to get the donations raised from this event. So really, the Buffalo Marathon is this huge contributor to the local community and to local nonprofits. So it's a great way to be able to support the community while doing a really fun event. And then their website also specifically states that this registration fee that's being charged is going to help offset the production cost increases for the 2021 Buffalo Marathon. So like everyone else, they had to cancel. And so they're very upfront that this is going to help support their organization and keep them going. And I think it's really good for races to be transparent. I think it's really meaningful to be open and honest about where you're at, and people want to support you. So the setup for this event is really cool, and actually Greg Weber, who is the race director for Buffalo Marathon, called me, and I had no idea how to set this up, but fortunately Matt Sinclair knows everything about RunSignup, so he came up with this setup. So the way that it works is that the activity types are set up as the different distances. So you have an activity type that's the 5K, an activity type that's the 10K, one that's the half marathon, and one that's the marathon. And I really like this results page because this participant is a hand cycle participant. And I think Greg's done a really good job about, making this event open to every member of the community, regardless of ability. And, I keep seeing his Facebook posts about it, and it's very motivational. And then the other cool thing about this event is he has a medal that has like different pieces for each of the different distances. So it's kind of a unique swag option for everyone. I'm going to let Bob talk about this virtual challenge because he talked to the race directors this week.
Yeah, I kind of covered this in the symposium kickoff, but this was a run club that had put on a couple of other events in the past, and they got together, you know, after George Floyd was killed, and they were like, what can we do? And so they decided to put on a challenge where all the proceeds, like after their cost of shipping shirts, would go to the NAACP. And the goal was just to get a whole bunch of people and collectively run, walk, cycle 1 million miles. So they made it very cost effective, and then they made a suggestion of donating $1 for every mile that you logged. So like if you were planning on during the month of July to log 100 miles, then you donated $100, which helped keep my donation fee low because my aspirations aren't high. But the clever thing that they did is they reached out to other organizations and influencers. And we've seen this in the past, and we've done some webinars on this. If you can find an influencer, it really helps. And you know, the story of the success of the great virtual race across Tennessee was because of the ties to Barclays Marathon, yeah, and the following that those race, yeah, directors have. And so what this running club did is they just connected and partnered with Black Girls Run. They contacted with Fleet Feet. And so like the CMO of Fleet Feet actually did a Facebook Live video with them and things like that. National Civil Rights Museum. So these organizations are sending out emails or posting on their Facebook referencing back to the 1 Million Miles for Justice. Yeah, and then you know, like they're using some of our components on the front page here. You know, trying to keep track of getting towards that 1 million miles. Please join them. It's a $25 fee, and I think it's a really great organization. And they also they've started to attract a bunch of other supporters. If you look at their website, it's actually kind of this growing list. Like, yeah, every couple of days they'll get another supporter.
I have another slide down, okay, at the bottom towards Brian's part.
Okay.
You can tell that I made this slide deck and that Bob and Brian are seeing it for the first time. Okay, so this one is the Lakeland Runners Club, and they're doing a Summer Miles for Scholarships event, and I think that they have one of the best cover pages. It's really beautiful. Their goal for their running club is to run 10,000 miles and raise $10,000 for local scholarships. They've made the barrier to participation very low because it's open to everyone and not just club members. And the thing that I really like that they're doing on their website is that they're cross-promoting other events. So like Brian talks about like challenges being this opportunity for extended engagement. People are going to be going to your website every day to log their activity. And so being able to put like little menu items that, you know, go to your other events that your club is doing, whether it's a virtual 5K or, you know, a race in the future that you're hoping to hold in person, they're going to be seeing that. So it's a really great way to just be able to cross promote any other events that you're doing. And then they're also using that new virtual challenge cover page component. And I like it because it doesn't have a map on it. And we saw 1 Million Miles for Justice was using it with a picture of cyclists. And it's just on top of an image that actually has the names of all the different high school students, not students, the high schools that they're supporting. And so you can kind of see like where they are in terms of their mileage and where they are in terms of the dollars that they've raised for this event. So I think that this is a really awesome option if you have a running club or if you're involved in a running club. You know, you can kind of have that unity with your community by putting on, you know, a challenge, and you can tie it to raising money for, you know, a local community cause.
Unity with your community.
Unity with your community.
There you go.
You can use that.
You can use
That's
that.
open. So this one, I was actually looking for races. I was looking for a push-up challenge, and I found one, fortunately. And this one I like as an example of how challenges can be used for non-endurance events. So this one was a fundraiser for Fairfield County's COVID-19 Relief Fund. A lot of the teams were schools in that county's conference, so it was like focused on students, and they just logged the number of push-ups that they did over a set period of time. So here are the group pages, so you can actually see the total number of push-ups that people are doing. So you can just kind of start to see how flexible this platform is. It's not just miles, you can show other things as well. And then this is a little close-up of an activity timeline, and it's showing the number of push-ups logged per day, which is like an insane amount. This is like Brian Jenkins style push-ups.
No, that's wimpy compared to what Brian does.
And then on the results page, what you can do is you can edit the results to only show certain columns. So you can actually hide fields that aren't relevant to your event. You can hide fields like chip time and pace or whatever. And you're going to talk about that later?
Yes,
okay.
I will. So now we're even.
Now we're even. But you'll see here that in the results, it's just showing like the number of push-ups that they've done, and it's a nice leaderboard for that type of challenge activity. So this is really great to offer other things other than just endurance events. The Indy 500 Mile Challenge, you're doing laps around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And one of the things that I really like with this is they're cross-promoting the challenge with a virtual race. And the virtual race is a 4-mile race. So they're using multi-race bundles to do that. So you can get a discount when you sign up for both of them at one time. And I like this because it shows how challenges work so well with races. So challenges can complement your virtual race that you're going to put on. They can complement your future in-person events that you have going on. You can really position the challenge as like, you know, this long-term training type of activity, and then you can cross-promote your actual races with that challenge. This is the Four Seasons Challenge. They're offering a 50-mile challenge for each season. So each season is set up as a separate event and a separate result set. So you're logging your 50 miles for each one. And then they have like a custom swag for each of the different challenge months. So they're offering just like a pin, tattoo, decal, like sticker type of things with optional shirts as well for the different seasons. And then they're offering a 16% discount when you sign up for all 4 of the events at one time. So again, it's, you know, offering flexible options. People can choose to just do 1 or 2, and then you are incentivizing them with a discount to sign up for all of them. We've seen a lot of different state challenges, and I'm featuring Zach Logan's Peach State Challenge for this one. The good thing about the state challenges is you can offer different distance options, and that will automatically just open up participation to a lot of people with different, you know, walking and running abilities. And then I think it's always nice for these types of events to partner with a nonprofit, and this one is doing donations for the Georgia Food Bank Association. I think that these state challenges, we've seen a lot of them. I think that they've worked particularly well with timers and, you know, even nonprofits, people that have large email lists that they can promote to. It's not as much fun to do a state challenge if you're only going to do it to a really small audience. I think it works well when you're able to get, you know, 500, 1,000 or more type of participants, so you actually have a lot of people going in and logging your miles. And then with state challenges, you are able to add in a live map that shows the challenge progress along the way. This is just a screenshot of a participant in the Peach State Challenge, but that's really kind of a nice added bonus so that you can visualize where you're at in the challenge. And then the last case study is the Leadville 100,000 foot challenge. And this one's actually an elevation challenge. So people are going to be logging their distance and their times, but the leaderboard is going to be stacked by the highest elevation. For their event, they're offering flexible options. So they're offering a run only, a ride only, and then a combo run and ride. And then they're also offering a solo or a team event. And then they are also using our new team results functionality on their leaderboards. So this is a screenshot of the results page, and you'll see here that you have elevation and the progress goal is set at the elevation achieved. And you log your activities like normal, but there's this added field for elevation gain. If you are a race director in South Jersey, I wouldn't recommend doing this because I don't know where we would possibly get any sort of elevation like this, but it's cool to see it being used out west and in places that are slightly more mountainous.
The 295 overpass.
Yeah, when I was little, we went on an overpass and I said, Dad, we're on a mountain. He got really depressed. So those are some case studies. It's really fun to look at the creativity and see, you know, how people are using the challenge platform in different ways. And so now I'm going to turn the presentation over to Brian Jenkins, and he's going to talk more about how you can market virtual challenges.
Thanks. So I've been involved with the challenges right from the beginning of at least of our experience with them, and got to learn quite a bit from the team at the Great Race Across Tennessee, as well as One New York and the New Jersey Challenge, which were all really early in the process. And it's not like there's a perfect formula, but at least right now there is somewhat of a repeatable process that we can kind of share with you guys. So what we're looking at from a marketing ramp-up standpoint is that it needs to be something that is in the relatively near future. So 3 to 4 weeks seems to be about the right amount of time. We have some people that have attempted to launch a challenge where, hey, today you can start logging mileage. That seems to be a little bit of a mistake because it just doesn't give you time to build up marketing and also doing referrals, which have been extremely important. So you definitely want to give yourself at least 3 to 4 weeks. I think at the same time, like many of our large races, they're doing 6, 8, 12-month promotions. I think that's going to be ineffective with the challenge. It's just too far out in the future for someone to be able to say, oh, I'm going to sign up for that now. So I think that's why the magic of 3 to 4 weeks works really well. The other thing is that there is definitely some misconceptions about the type of customer that might be super interested in this. Is that we have challenges that have the average participant is a 60-year-old female. And that makes a lot of sense to me because many people's normal daily physical fitness activities, whatever that might be for them, have been disrupted. So people are looking for hope. They're looking for positivity and ways for them to be able to, even if it's digital community, and have accountability. So the challenge provides those that structure that you are marketing to them. And so you may want to make sure that your messaging, your website is not totally around competition and who's the fastest. You should really be a big accomplishment for people to finish the challenge. And you should measure your success based on how many people finish your challenge, not who's the fastest. Because if people finish your challenge, this may be something you can actually come back to next year. So a lot of our clients are sharing with us that, like, hey, whatever their off season is, we're definitely going to do a challenge during our off season because it fills a 2 or 3 month gap, whether that's the summer in some parts of the country or the winter in some parts of the country, to be able to keep that engagement with their customers. So going on to the next slide, I definitely feel like using wording that targets walkers more than runners is really important. Some runners, especially your faster runners, are going to use platforms like Strava. We get a lot of questions about Strava. Strava's business now is to get people engaged with their app and to sell them a subscription. So if you want to help Strava sell subscriptions, great. if you want to, grow your nonprofit's donation list as well as, generate revenue for your organization, make sure you're being much more inclusive than focusing on stuff like Strava or Map My Run or whatever other platforms that they have. So using the language of walk, run, or run, walk in your language, your advertisements and website is extremely important. You also can have, the challenge platform is highly flexible, and Allison mentioned a little bit earlier with PushUps. We haven't seen a ton of campaigns yet with these alternative styles, but we have had some successful challenges that are offering run, bike, and swim. So I do think there is quite a bit of opportunities that haven't totally been explored. I saw this really cool challenge in the UK where people were rowing around the island of England. I was like, oh, that's a really cool idea. And so I can see a lot of our customers coming up with some really unique ideas on how to utilize this beyond just run, walk. So the next thing is making sure that you have nonprofit partners. Some of you on this call may be nonprofits yourself, so you can kind of maybe that's pretty obvious to you. But a lot of our customers are for-profit and but have good nonprofit partners. So a lot of people want to do something good for themselves and good for others right now. So if you don't have a nonprofit partner, I can tell you that almost every single for-profit company I work with, they get many emails saying, well, what is this event? Who does it benefit? So if you have that front and center on your site, if they're considered a sponsor, if they're embedded into your banner, if they're embedded into your advertisement, that removes that question. Also be very clear about what you are doing for your nonprofit partners. So if you're saying a percentage of proceeds, what percentage of proceeds? And explain exactly how much that you're going to be, sharing with your nonprofit partners. We also support now the ability to do direct payment to charity partners. So if you're a for-profit company, you can set up a charity partner and invite them to set up payment with RunSignup, so the donations that are received can go directly to the nonprofit partner. They also, if you'd like, you can set up fundraising, and you can have fundraising pages as well as Facebook fundraisers are connected. But that would be a discussion between you and your nonprofit partner if you wanted to offer that. And then lastly, you do not have to just have one nonprofit partner. If you feel like having two is better for your organization, you absolutely can do that. The one thing that I would caution is, having 10, 15, 20, unless you have a huge list of people that are joining the challenge, can make it a little confusing and kind of not make it as effective as having, like, I wouldn't recommend more than 4 for a campaign. So the next one we're talking a little bit about is a case study, is Gory Pumpkin Run. So this event, it really blew me away last year. So last year they really went all in on virtual, and it was the first time we had seen just extreme uptick in just large numbers of people really engaging with virtual. And they're coming back again this year, and I expect even more success. And so they partnered with Girls on the Run. They announced this partnership by a press release. They've added fundraising to their events. And Girls on the Run actually has access to the dashboard within the race, so they can see their donors. They can see their fundraisers. They have all the information they need. So your charity partner is fully it's fully transparent to them exactly what's going on with their campaign, so to speak. They also turned on the Facebook fundraising integration, which I can't emphasize enough how effective that has been. So if you haven't tried it out, please try it out. We're prior to the COVID pandemic, we were seeing just tremendous success with Facebook fundraising, and we expect that to continue in the future. So the other thing that they've done, which I really like, is fundraiser rewards. So you can actually get a refund on your registration and exclusive co-branded Girls on the Run swag. That is another way to differentiate yourself in the market, is that you and your nonprofit partner are joining hands to show that, like, this is not just a faux partnership, this is a real partnership. And this drives the behavior that you want, which is, in this case, they really want the promotional side. The Pumpkin Run wants the promotion of people sharing and talking about their event, and then Girls on the Run gets the donations coming in. So having a compelling website, I'm sure in various discussions and sessions that you've sat in, you've heard a lot about our cover page. I really can't say enough about our capabilities. This week, I actually spent a little bit of time. I saw an ad for MailChimp is now offering websites, and I, was very intrigued to see what they had to offer. And MailChimp is a tremendous company, and they have a great platform. I really do think our website capabilities, specifically for events, is still quite a bit better. And that's not to put anything against MailChimp. It just shows what we've built, and specifically for events, and what you can do with it. So when you're building this compelling website, having using the content blocks to highlight your swag. If you don't show off your swag, especially if you really think you've got something special, how do people know that's what they're getting? And then obviously we all know people sign up for events because of the shirt metal combination, or other things. I've seen, great neck buffs, or, personally for me, I love to see socks. I will sign up for events that have socks because I go through socks like every week. And that's another one. Your referral rewards program, we are seeing off the charts engagement with referral rewards. We have events that have achieved 50% of their registrations through referrals, but you're not going to achieve those results if they're not front and center on your cover page of your website. You're not using, registration follow-up emails to encourage people to share. If you're not doing these types of things to engage with people, that, hey, if you bring your friends, there's going to be a reward. Either you're getting your registration back and you've got the opportunity to win, special prizes, things like that. You're really kind of shooting yourself in the foot if you're not putting that front and center on your page. The other one, and not enough people have done this one either, is putting a course map right there on your cover page. So, and there's different ways to do this. I've actually talked to a bunch of different people about, some people have some really great ideas. Is the course map can be, you can actually build a map like on Google Map Creator, and then, plug that in as a piece of content on your site. I actually had someone that said, hey, I'm actually going to, put a GoPro on my car and drive some of these different parts, and then upload that to YouTube for their course map. I thought that was a great idea too, because you can speed it up. So it's as if you're kind of seeing the course. And there may even be, B-roll out there for some, segments of these courses to kind of show people along the way. And then finally, we talked about that in the previous case study, is making sure that you're highlighting your nonprofit partners and what you're doing to support them and why they're important to you. So being authentic about, hey, I had a relative that has diabetes, and that's why we're supporting this particular organization. If you're making these short little videos that I've talked about, where you're taking your iPhone out and recording yourself, talking about your challenge, what nonprofit partner you're doing, these drips and drabs of content, there's actually things called authenticity meters now, as like, how real is this person? And people can tell. Highly produced videos are great, but authenticity can sell better. So make sure that you're putting that into, you're highlighting your challenge and your nonprofit, why you want to support that group. So the next one is really exciting. This is the Philadelphia 76 Challenge. Allison, do you want to talk a little bit about this one, or Bob? You guys were a little bit more involved directly. I know Eric was involved with this one, about how this came together.
Yeah, Eric and Natalie work with the Philadelphia Marathon team, but the idea of a 76 challenge is obviously the founding of our country, July 4th time, and then around Philadelphia, it's actually a 76-mile perimeter. And the reason I wanted to show this one is because the cover page has all of those checklist items that Brian mentioned that you should feature on your cover page. So the top part looks kind of familiar, like any race website. It has those social share icons and the date, and then the event tiles. And then here you have a description so that people understand what the challenge is for. And then you have data-driven component, which is the countdown to the start of the challenge. You have call to actions, I think including like a little bit of information about how and where you can submit your results is nice for your cover page. Like Brian said, it's always good to feature your swag that you're offering so that people can see what they're going to get when they sign up. And then promoting your referral program. And finally, the Philadelphia 76 Challenge partnered with Back on My Feet. That's a really well-known national nonprofit. And Back on My Feet is really involved with a lot of Philadelphia area races. They're actually also involved with our Scott Coffee Run. And so it's a very well-known charity partner, especially in the Philadelphia region. So partnering with Back on My Feet also adds a lot of legitimacy. People want to donate to that cause, and they are featuring and highlighting their nonprofit partner. And similar to the partnership between the Great Pumpkin Run and Girls on the Run, they've added Back on My Feet as a charity partner. And Back on My Feet has their own charity partner dashboard where they're getting the full reports on all their donations. So it's a really nice relationship that the race and the nonprofit partner can have using the RunSignup site. But I wanted to highlight this one because I think that they did a really nice job with their cover page. I think the messaging is really clear. They show off the swag, they show off the referrals, they highlight their nonprofit partner as well as their sponsors.
Thank you, Allison. I totally agree. I think the page, the only other thing is they also use the domain too, which it was, I didn't even think about it until I saw it in the domain when you were scrolling that, oh yeah, that's actually, they mapped their domain to RunSignup, which we didn't talk about, but you can also do that too, to have a great website as well as a very fast launch. You don't have to worry about, launching a website. So the next thing to talk about is referrals. That was actually calculated a little bit in the cover page of the Philly 76 Challenge, and these numbers are just staggering to me. Social selling is kind of the concept, and we were pretty happy in the past that 7% of registrations in the past. Like I thought that was pretty meaningful. So if $7 out of every 100 can be attributed directly to social selling, so meaning your participants feel good enough about your brand and what they're getting from you that they would tell a friend. Not only would they tell a friend, we can actually attribute that sale to a link that they shared. So likely you're getting even more sales from friends telling friends. We all know that, but to have this level of attribution at this point is astounding. And this 18% number, that's all races. So we have these outlier events that are doing significantly better than that. And to talk specifically about what I would recommend, like, so if I was making a recipe, my recipe is for if you refer 5 people, you should get a full refund. And if you refer 10 people, you can get kind of additional swag. And you can then even have like grand prizes of, so if people keep going beyond that, you could potentially work with a sponsor to have some sort of experience or offering or a top 3 rewards. So many races are familiar with the idea of offering like awards to the fastest people. I have said for years, like, you should reward the people that bring the most people to your race. That's what teams and other things like that have done. But yeah, it's really right now showing off. And this graphic is great. So they, step 1 is, complete your registration. Step 2, you'll receive a custom shareable link in your confirmation email. Step 3, share that link with your friends and family. Step 4, earn swag and cash back, and you'll get credit for anyone who registers for the Indy 500 Challenge to your personal referral link. So for 5 registrations, you get $20 back. 10, you get an exclusive mile, Indy 500 mile merchandise item, and then 15, you get an additional 20 back. So this is a larger brand. Obviously, the Indy 500 is a really well-known brand. But for less, new campaigns, I would be more aggressive because let's say if you're, say, let's make it easy to say, if you're doing 10 referrals and it's a $60 entry fee, and that gets you all your money back. that's $6 a person. That is very sustainable. So you can kind of play with the numbers, but that's the way that I think of it, is like, how much am I paying per person for that referral if I gave them all their money back? But also be sure to have some sort of additional tier beyond that. And the reason I mention that is that I've seen some very successful campaigns where the number one referrer, 110 people. I never thought I would see one person refer 110 people. And their first page of referrals, the last person on the first page of referrals had at least 50 referrals. Never seen anything like it. So highly encourage you to be aggressive with that. The other thing that they're doing is registration follow-up emails. So in our email marketing platform, we have automated emails, and there's an email type called registration follow-up emails. This is extremely easy to configure. So you turn this on, you say, how many days after someone registers would I like to send this email? So in this example, we're sending 1 day after they register and 7 days after they register. You turn that on, it sends out at 8 a.m. 1 day after they registered and 7 days after they register. And then you can view and customize the email. So within their customizing their email, they're putting in strategic points of promotion. So in their case, they're a big team event, so they're putting teams first. They're promoting social media and then referral programs. For your event, it may make sense to put donations first, then referrals, or referrals and then donations, and then social media. But this is a general idea of how you would customize that email. So we also have a replacement tag for your referral URL. So it'll actually dynamically put in the referral URL for that participant, so they can, oh, what do I need to do? Just forward on this email or click on this link and share that link socially. So teams, this is something that we have some events that are starting to get some tractions on this. Teams has always been successful for different types of events. There's different types of teams. There's relay teams where you've got a group of people contributing to a group goal, if that's a challenge, or it can be just teams can be a social idea where it's like, hey, my school team or my alma mater or my church or et cetera can build a team, and then you can offer team size discounts. So if you get 10 members or more, everyone gets $5 refunded to them, and then everyone who registers after that gets a discount. Or you may have a sponsor that says, hey, I'm looking for activation. So you could say, hey, well, can we offer a deal where if a team gets 20 or more or 50 or more, that they get some sort of prize. So the Scott Coffee Race in the past has offered socks if you get 20 or more people. Those are the different. You did this year too, or no?
Yeah.
We have a lot of socks. Yeah. Sure.
I could use some socks, so like I'll send you guys my address. Teams are just another way to do, or another marketing channel that if you think that fits your brand and what you're trying to accomplish, don't forget about it. Referrals are huge, but teams are a different style of referrals. So there are some downsides to teams in that if the team captain really is the person that's rallying everyone together, the team can benefit from one person's actions. That's where referrals kind of cleans that up. But if the overall event is a team concept, we have a lot of different options in terms of like the team captain can see their full roster. They have a unique URL. You can offer financial or swag rewards for this as well. So the next one is Facebook ads. So many of our customers are getting more and more comfortable with Facebook ads, which we're super happy to hear. You can build custom audiences within RunSignup. We actually, so if you work with us for several years, you can automatically just download custom audiences, and there's pre-made filters such as, hey, give me a lifetime list, give me people who haven't registered yet, things like that. You also can use the CRM to build custom audiences that say you want to do a Mother's Day campaign or something like that. You could build a women's demographic CRM list. So the other thing to think about is targeting zip codes. So Bob actually, I believe he wrote a blog post about this, talking about when he purchased ads and actually targeted the Moorestown zip code for Scott Coffee, and it was a pretty effective ad campaign. Some of the things that are important about Facebook ads is that you need to make sure that you have compelling images. I've also read some pretty interesting information specifically about how well video performs. The videos probably need to be at a max 1 minute. You can use tools like Upwork or Fiverr to get ads made at a very reasonable rate. So if you haven't looked at tools like that, there's literally thousands of people that their favorite thing to do is to make short videos and to get paid to do that. So don't feel like you have to be an expert at all of these things. You need to understand like what you're trying to accomplish and find the people that will help you accomplish that goal. And the same thing, if you're super intimidated by Facebook ads, there are people on Upwork that you can either sign up for one of their like classes to learn about Facebook ads. You also can hire people from there, and they're generally very reasonable rates, and they have a review process. You can go with people who actually have been validated by Upwork as real people who have real reviews. You're going to spend a little bit more on those, but don't be afraid of this like kind of task workforce out there, because they love what they do. They just don't want to work for somebody. So don't look at that negatively.
Yeah, and it's really easy to experiment and make it really cheap to start off with, and then see if it works. Like you see, we did the ad on May 5th, and I forget how much I spent, like $25 or something like that, but it was really good return. So then the reason we did an ad on the 14th is that the 15th was a cutoff date for pre-ordering shirts. And like the average transaction size there is $34 for a $25 race. So it wasn't just the registration money we got, we also got donations on top of that.
So influencers. So this is just one of those things that when we talk about the Great Race Across Tennessee, if you haven't heard the story, we've told it a few times. I'm not going to rehash it again. But essentially, if you are on this call, think about, there's a joke, which is like, is it 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon or is it 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon? I can't remember, but like it's 7. Yeah. So every person in the world apparently is only 7 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon. And you should think about the world in that way, meaning that if you try, you can get in touch with influencers. It's better if you already have a working relationship, and influencers are kind of a muddled term, but these are people who, if they were to make a Facebook post, if they were to make a YouTube video or an Instagram post or a Snapchat, etc., would people engage with it? Would there be clout behind it? And there are ways to actually purchase that. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. Work in your network. I think nonprofits can definitely do this, is that you can ask people who support you, is there someone who has a following that would like to help us? A lot of our fundraisers have been canceled this year. We'd love to do a challenge, but we need to get reach, and we just don't want to spend all of our money on advertising. If you could help us, and a lot of people are willing to help right now. These are radio show hosts as well. Like anybody that has a reach, a lot of people want to help right now. So ask around, like ask your team, ask friends, who do they know? And if you ask enough people, eventually you will come across the right opportunity and the right person to promote your brand. I will say there is risk in this stuff, in that you can waste a lot of time. You can maybe partner with somebody that you wish you hadn't, in terms of like maybe their brand isn't exactly what you thought it was. But I think the risk is worth the reward, because if it catches on and they their audience starts engaging with it, you could really ride a roller coaster up of just tremendous sharing and people having conversations about your event. So that is a great opportunity for you. Bob, did you want to talk specifically about this case study? Because I know you did a call with them to talk about. I'm intrigued that it says Bowerman Track Club here.
Oh yeah.
This
So
is so cool.
yeah.
I follow like a couple of the women who are on the Bowerman Track Club on Instagram, and I started seeing all of them post like pictures wearing the digital bibs, which Bob is going to talk about later. But I went onto the website, and Bowerman Track Club, Colleen Quigley had actually signed them up and created a team, and they were encouraging, you know, people to follow them. And some of them haven't logged their miles yet, but I do want to point out that Shelby Houlihan has logged 107 miles for the 1 million miles for justice challenge. And so if an Olympian can log their miles on the RunSignup platform, I mean, that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you want to just kind of.
No, and I think they did it right in
Yeah.
terms of really leveraging their partners, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, like the day that Black Girls Run posted on their Facebook group about this, and now Black Girls Run, if you go, like the header on Black Girls Run is about the 1 million miles thing. So it's the way to go if you can find an influencer and engage with, you know, I think this organization has got this magic going on because everybody's focused on this topic right now. They've got a leadership, you know, donation charity behind this with NAACP, and then they've got leadership types of organizations behind them.
Yeah, and they have a lot of hashtags circulating for their event, but it's really cool to see just like like micro influencers, like people who have a public Instagram who are sharing photos of them running and, you know, posting about their challenge and sharing it with their online digital communities. It's really cool to see those, you know, hashtags and photos being promoted on social media.
And these are great people. I love them.
So the next one is marketing push. So if we're thinking about a 3 to 4 week timeline, you want to have a strong initial push to get the thing started. What I have found is that this is kind of like you need it to catch. I call it, you have to get to marketing lift. So if you're thinking about an airplane doing 35 miles an hour is not going to take off. And the airplane has to hit a minimum velocity to take off. And so it seems to be a magic number around 400 to 500 people. And so you want to make sure that you can push from a marketing standpoint to get to that 400 to 500 people, because that 400 to 500 people and the advertising that you needed to do to get to that point, with the referrals, with the follow-up emails, with, hopefully an influencer pushing it, what happens is that now the plane can take off. And once it takes off, it's not like you're going to glide forever, but you have created enough lift for people to start talking about your event. And so what I've typically seen is a big push in the beginning. And if you get to that magic 500-ish number, when you get close to the event, you need to make sure you've saved marketing budget for 5 days or so before the event. And the reason is that I've seen 50-60% of people sign up for challenges in the 2-3 day window around when a challenge starts. And why is that? It's very simple. It's FOMO. The fear of missing out hit at that point. And people have seen the event. A friend has mentioned it to it. They've maybe watched your quick video on it. They know what it is. They've been putting off registering. Now they're going to register. So make sure that you are prepared from a budget and marketing standpoint to do that 5-day in push. And you will see a ton of people sign up the day of the challenge, and then you'll see it kind of drop off for the day after, but you'll still have a little bit of an after effect there. So it's the challenge acts as if a price increase. That's the best way to think about it. So if you're a traditional race director, you know that you have to do your marketing just right when you do a price increase to make sure that you don't let that marketing opportunity go away. And with all this, the other thing that's important to communicate is make sure that you're explaining to people when items, like, so if they're getting a shirt and a medal, or a tank top and a medal, or a buff, things like that, when those items are going to be shipped out as part of the marketing communication. Because sometimes I have seen challenges continue to get registrations, but they're getting 10, 12 registrations now a week after. the challenge that at some point, and this is counterintuitive, you're going to probably want to cut it off because it's just not worth continuing to collect 10 or 12 registrations from a logistics standpoint, because now you're starting to have to pay for logistics twice, in terms of screen printing shirts or whatever the other thing. You kind of want to cut it off at a certain point so that all that stuff can be shipped out to your participants.
So I'll take over now. Thanks, Brian. That was really, really great and educational. So here's Emily Infield. And what's like the coolest thing about this whole presentation is the bib she's wearing, she actually printed out, and it's the RunSignup, virtual digital bib that she printed out and tagged on her singlet there. So digital bibs are a really cool and fun way to kind of engage people virtually. And you can have your own, the way it works is you basically can have your own custom background. So there's an image there that's, my big run virtual run. It's that blue stuff. It's the Global Running Day, the Fleet Feet logo, the Brooks logo. But the name and the number are coming from the database. And you can choose your own font, and you can choose kind of your own tags that come into that. And the digital bibs and finisher certificates are both work both the same way. And the finisher certificate, you're able to display things on that, like their time and place and distance and activity level, and number of push-ups. Now you can put team name on there and so forth. So it's really these have become really powerful. And what's cool is that, and I'll talk about Marlise in a minute, but Marlise, the woman of my dreams, wife of almost 41 years now, I just finished the New Jersey Challenge. Yesterday morning, she walked her final 2 miles, made it to the end of the Garden State Parkway, and she actually texted me the image of her bib.
No, she texted the finisher certificate.
The finisher certificate,
which is really surprising because my mom is not the most computer literate. There's a Post-it on her computer, and it says Control+C equals copy, Control+V equals paste. And she figured out how to share her finisher certificate with our family. So that's cool.
Yeah. So swag, giveaways, there's multiple different ways that you can structure this. So you can basically bury the cost of the giveaway and the shipping inside of the cost of the event, and or you can have add-ons. And then one of the nice features that we have is if you have a Shopify store already, you can basically copy all of the items that you want from the Shopify store and basically kind of import them into your add-ons, and then they will automatically keep in sync the inventory levels. And you'll be using Shopify to basically drive all of your fulfillment after that. So when somebody orders something, it will actually show up in your Shopify list of orders for the day and so forth. The other swag piece here is the swag rewards. And that, as Brian said, this is a really important part of referrals and getting people into your events. And because these virtual events wind up being more social than ever. So like Marlise was texting with this group of 5 friends of hers, like almost every day, about how far they had walked that day. Because they were all doing the same challenge. So she was responsible for actually getting those people on board. It's just a natural thing that happens. And as Brian said, having these multiple levels where, maybe that first level is you give them a full refund of their registration fee if they get 5 friends. So I'd never be able to get 5 friends. Marlise was able to, but having higher levels for those mavens that are out there, and the mavens can drive a huge amount of traction. just one more note, Andrew Sigwart came up with this little graphic for the Scott Coffee race. And obviously it's around coffee. It says this year, it's not just the coffee that's filtered. So Jim Gerwick actually stole this image and actually used it on a sign for a cross-country race that he held last night. And this graphic is available for anybody to steal and use. We don't care.
Andrew Sigwart's thrilled.
Andrew Sigwart's thrilled. He's not asking for any royalties.
We'll actually send the image out when we do the follow-up stuff for the symposium, so anyone can steal it.
It's your swag reward for listening to us.
Yeah, put it as an illustration file so people can change the color and stuff like that too. So shipping and fulfillment companies, we have a blog post on this. There's a number of companies that are out there that are doing this. Actually, Negative Split is the company that's going to be doing our fulfillment for the shirts and the buffs that we have going out to all of you who have signed up for the race. And they typically will offer a variety of different services that you can ask them for. You know, from actually making everything to just shipping it, design services, they can really be very useful to you. Let's talk about one of the things I'm happiest about, RaceJoy. So RaceJoy became part of the RunSignup team about 5 years ago. And I always had this belief that that over time, GPS timing and chip timing and gun timing should all come together and be available, you know, to whomever wanted to use each one of those as soon as it was available, right? It's one of the driving concepts behind our technology roadmap. And with virtual, RaceJoy has become really, really interesting and important to a lot of races because there isn't the ability to do those other types of timing mechanisms. And it has brought a mechanism to connect people into the real race, as well as connecting other people in with it as well. And one of the first ones that used RaceJoy was, I think it was like the 3rd or 4th weekend in March, the Ann Arbor Marathon went off, and they were planning on using RaceJoy. One of the features that we did is we extended the amount of time that RaceJoy was able to stay open, so they could run the real marathon course or half marathon course anytime during the course of like a week or 2 week period of time. And then what we have recently introduced is a couple of new features. One is RaceJoy Anywhere. We use this at the Scott Coffee race because, as Allison said, we had people in California that were doing the Scott Coffee race, but they actually used RaceJoy, and it was pretty cool because they could feel like they were on the course, and they got the same types of cheers that we had set up for everybody on the course. We also have RaceJoy Redo. So I know a couple of people that ran the Scott Coffee used RaceJoy, and the first time they went out, they weren't as pleased with their time as what they wanted it to be. So they actually went and did RaceJoy Anywhere, and they ran it again.
Is that Val and Andrew?
And that's Val and Sigwart. So, but I have heard other people use it. I think of the people that uploaded results to the Scott Coffee race, somewhere around 20 to 25% did it with RaceJoy. And RaceJoy has that GPS phone tracking. You have the ability to send a cheer. You have the ability as a race director to set up those cheers along your course, to record custom sorts of things. So when they're running by the William Allen Middle School, you can call that out so people in California can feel like, oh, they're running by the middle school again. You get progress alerts, so every mile you're notified like what pace you're on and what your expected time, finish time is, and things like that. And then those results get automatically uploaded. So it feels like it's a more official type of an experience. So we've done a fair amount of work to make the virtual results submission kind of easier and more intuitive. because so many people are using it now. And hopefully this reduces the burden of support for your race organizations, but it also just makes it kind of a higher quality feel for your organization. So there's simple results submission. We have this kind of new, beautiful, time entry type of thing. We have this ability to check a box, and Brian showed it in his presentation the other day of how some people like me don't want to show their time. They just say that they finished. As I said, RaceJoy does the auto submission. We have the new thing that we've talked about in several of the presentations of uploading GPX and fit files if you're, using one of those apps. We have the option for those races that want to, really validate, to have the race director review before it actually shows in results. So that's one of the options that's kind of on the back end there. And then in July, I think Ryan got delayed this week, so he's not going to have it this week, but we should have it next week, is option to upload photos. And those will be fun to upload, just socially types of things, but they can also be utilized to upload kind of validation. So you can take a screenshot of your Strava workout and upload it. So if it's a race director reviewed type of a situation. Challenge submission has gotten increasingly nice and smooth and really, really pretty cool. So if you have multiple activities, and the example I show here is kind of a gym-oriented type of activity, or CrossFit. So the activity, you could have people upload their activities for number of push-ups, or number of sit-ups, number of air squats, number of burpees each day. So that all gets compiled and saved away. It's very easy to do. You can do this by count, you can do it by distance, you can do it by time, you can do it by elevation. We've got easy conversions that are up here. So put in miles, kilometers, meters, feet, yards. We'll convert it to whatever the standard that has been set for that race is. So like we do the conversions, you can put it up number of miles, and Indy 500 will convert it to the number of laps. You can add comments, and when Ryan finishes, Ryan, if you're listening, get back to work. Virtual results. So our results platform is actually an auto scoring type of a setup, and we've had it for many years, and it's been used for many years. Typically, it's a scoring platform that will upload, like RunScore or Race Director or Race Day Scoring, will upload results to RunSignup, and then it displays there. But by entering results directly into RunSignup, we also have mechanisms to score it. There is advanced capabilities in there. You can set up divisions like age groups and gender and things like that. So you can get into complex sorts of things. The auto scoring that we do today kind of defaults to whatever the goal is. So in the case that Allison was showing earlier, for elevation was the goal, that was how the results were ordered. And there's going to be increasing some capabilities in that area. But we won't get too much into that. Full screen and mobile views, which is really nice. Make a note here. So when you're the race director and you're logged in, you see this little X and this little edit sign. You can actually go in and delete individuals, and you can go in and edit individuals. And then over on the right-hand side, you see that little box with a pen inside of it. If you click that, you can actually edit each one of these columns. You can hide them. So like I hid the country in this one, in the Scott Coffey one, because it's mostly US people. And then you can change the title of any of these things. So if I don't like city, I can put town. And I can also grab any of these and reorder it. So if I want clock time in front, right next to the name, I can just click on that, drag it over, and drop it. and then I save my changes and it's all done. It's really, really nice. All the results are editable, like I said, by the race director, but results are also editable by the participant. And when edits are made, it just reorganizes things. So like Val was in the top 10 and she dropped out of the top 10. So she reran her 8K so she could get back into the top 10. So it all kind of just works magically, which is great and low overhead for you. The individual results, this is Marlies back earlier in her trek up the Garden State Parkway. But you get digital certificates, you get a finisher certificate once you finish. You see the progress bar, you see these summary stats up here, and the summary stats are kind of getting better and better and more powerful. You can see the activity list. Each of these is editable or deleted if you want to delete it or edit. It's really easy. The map is nice, and photos are coming in the not too distant future. Maps are actually pretty easy to do. If you go, like, my preferred tool is Map My Run. I know Brian likes Google Maps, but all of them will output a KML file. And a KML file is basically just a set of dots. And that set of dots you upload to RunSignup, and we capture that map. We know how long that is, and then we place people along that map. So there's a lot of flexibility in that, and it's surprisingly easy to do. Overall dynamic challenge goal. So this is now a cover page component, so a virtual challenge. And Allison showed a really nice background image of basically, it was almost like stops on a subway line or something like that, that would line up here really, really well. And it's for the overall goal, and that goal is whatever you set in that cover page component. So you could actually have multiple goal components up if you wanted to. And it just accumulates the activity level for everybody. Overall challenge results. So these are actually driven and ordered by these settings that you make in the dashboard by lowest time, activity count, highest time, greatest elevation. A highest time example that I haven't seen yet, and I'm kind of surprised, is yoga or meditation. So like the number of minutes or hours that I spent meditating today. Customized results, I covered this, but this is just a closer look at it. So you can see that you can hide and you can save the changes, and this is your edit button. I see a lot of results out there that look really ugly because they haven't edited them. I have actually gone into a couple of races and edited them myself. I'm not promising to do that for any.
Okay, I did edit the ones for the push-up challenge, and then I reverted it because I felt bad like making changes.
Oh, I cleaned it up again.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Teams for challenges. We redid our whole team interface. So the whole team interface got really cleaned up quite a bit, and it has this quick summary of the distance and so forth. But now we have results that are actually in this, and you just check the box that's set in the dashboard that you want team results, and those team results will show up automatically. The scoring engine does it, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to think about it really much at all. We don't have team goals yet, but that's something that's coming very soon. Photos. So this past weekend, we actually moved our entire photo album of 4 million photos from 5,000 different events over to new infrastructure. And that new infrastructure is going to allow us to do more development and a lot faster and maintain it better. And it will allow us to scale it. It actually improved performance when we moved it over to the new infrastructure. It actually was an 8-hour migration. So it took 8 hours to migrate all the photos off the old and import them into the new infrastructure.
Ryan had a really fun weekend.
Yeah, and it actually worked. And I went in to check to see if my favorite pictures of Kevin and Stephen were still there and findable, and they were. So that was my test. But one of the big things that we're going to be doing with that is this idea of participant albums. And so in like a regular real race, I'll be able to create my own little custom album. I'll be able to save off those pictures of Kevin and Stephen into my own little album. Along with that, I'll be able to do uploads. And this is what a lot of people, I think, are going to like in virtual. And when you do those uploads, they'll show in the regular photo section of a RunSignup website. So they'll just dynamically appear. So I'll upload a photo of myself, and Allison and Brian will be able to see it as soon as I upload it. There's more features that are coming. One is a photo API. And what that's going to allow is third-party applications to tie and upload photos to it. So one of the applications that we're going to work with is you basically set up an iPhone at a finish line, and you can tie the timing device to chip reader to signal when to take a photo. So when the person crosses, it will actually take a photo. And because we'll have the chip data coming in from the timing mat, it will accurately put who the person is, and it'll tag that person in that photo, and it will upload it to the photo system automatically. We'll do a lot better photo album organization and so forth. Results integration, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we have planned on that. Better notifications and emails, and we'll be bringing that over to the nonprofit ticket platform and the GiveSignup generic donation platform as well. And yep, it's still free. So here's the stuff that's coming real soon. So multiple goals and team goals. So you'll be able to have different types of things. So you'll be able to have goals based on a per activity type of basis. You'll have milestones. So along that 100-mile stretch, you'll be able to have milestones at 25 and 50 and things like that. And when they reach those milestones, they'll get things like badges and certificates, and they'll get notifications. They'll get reminders if they haven't reached certain milestones by a certain time. And this is one of the examples that we have as a notification. So a nice little postcard type of format. And so we'll be providing some different default templates around that. We will be coming out with an API. So third parties who want to upload information, they'll be able to do that as well. And then the Candyland example is taking the idea of a virtual race from being on a real map, like running the Garden State Parkway, to something that is even more gamified than that, right? So I go and if I do 100 miles, I'll see myself going along the Candyland map. And then at the end of 100 miles, that might be a milestone, and my map might change. It might be Monopoly, and now I'll go around the Monopoly board. I'll reach my next milestone, and it'll go on to Risk.
But this doesn't exist yet, so don't set up that challenge right now.
Don't set up that challenge right now, but this is the vision of where we're going. Coming soon. Well, that one may take another couple months, but there's so much fun stuff to do with challenges. Anyway. We talked a long time.
Yeah, when you get Bickles on these presentations, it just...
They go on. Johanna, Matt, Avery, any questions?
I think we've covered a lot of them throughout the content after they came in. Do you guys have any suggestions for brainstorming unique twists on challenges that don't look like something that's already happening in your area?
Sounds like a Brian Jenkins question.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so this is just my personal bend. So I'm one of the few people that's in better shape during the everything being closed, and that's because I never went to the gym. So I've always been a big believer in body weight exercises just because you can kind of do them anywhere and you don't need a whole lot of special equipment. So I believe that there's a lot of opportunity with encouraging people to move. There's a pretty influential person in our industry named Kathy Kinane. She has a nonprofit called Move Your Feet Before You Eat. And I'm a big believer in that. So I think some of the things that people could do is actually use the challenge platform for, basically minutes moved versus like the mileage. So that is another opportunity. In high school, we never actually were allowed to track mileage. I always had to track minutes. So, just asking people to be active for a certain number of minutes per day is another type of challenge. And these numbers can get really big. So, it's like you get 1,000 people and they log 30 minutes. Well, in one day, they log 30,000 minutes, hopefully. So you can kind of use these types of ideas you can do planks, you can do squats, you can do lunges, you can do push-ups, like general body weight movements that people can do anywhere. I don't think is being utilized enough. I think the state's challenge is something that's great for the summertime. But if you look to when the weather gets colder, like I don't see people wanting to do that. So, can you keep people engaged when the weather's cold? And I think you can by utilizing some of these other concepts.
Minutes of TV watched. Brian had a pretty clever idea for the CASA organization he's involved in Richmond, which was a good deeds challenge. I kind of like that one. I kind of like the idea of Allison's idea of number of books read.
Yeah, during the next session, I think Eric is doing one that's focused on challenge setups. So for just any sort of challenge, and mine is going to be focused on nonprofits. And I'll actually be going through those examples of setting up the Good Deeds Challenge and the Reading Challenge, so you can kind of, start to see how it's pretty flexible.
But I would encourage people to brainstorm and then, contact us if you're struggling trying to figure out how you would implement that idea. And we might be able to help guide you, or it might be a new idea of something that we put into the platform.
I have a referrals question that I think would be useful. If we had a race that exists generally, it was already live, and then it went virtual once registration was open, is it possible to go back and get a referral program started with those who had already signed up?
Yeah, I mean, so it would be hard to attribute like past registrations because I think that would just cause chaos in your inbox. But you can set up a virtual or a referrals program at any time. You basically have to go into the referrals setup. I don't know exactly how to do it off the top of my head without being on the race dashboard, but you can manually assign referral links to each of your already registered participants. And then the way that you let them know that they have a referral URL is just by sending an email and using that replacement tag for the referral link in the email. So sending out an email that specifies this is the referral program, here is your link, share with your friends, and you'll get a reward.
Yeah, it's not too hard to do.
Yeah, I think you just want to make sure that you're clear when you send that out that if they told their friend to register previously and they already did, you're not going to retroactively add all of those.
You can.
Or if you're going to, that yeah, you are prepared for the time that's going to take.
Yeah.
We'll do one more. Could you do a sponsorship credit where the sponsorship is based on the team size from the business that's sponsoring you? Essentially, Kroger has 200 employees sign up, and so you make them a sponsor, give them some sponsor information.
Yeah, there's different ways to approach that. The way we do it for the Scott Coffee race is, we just give Wegmans 30 free entries, and they use it as kind of like a wellness and community outreach and a little spiff for their employees. there is corporate teams capability in our platform that has very extensive types of capabilities where you could set up, different levels of sponsorship, and those companies could self-manage their own teams. They could set their own pricing. They could set how much they're paying. You could set how many free entries they get, and so forth.
The one recommendation I have if you're giving free entries to a sponsor, so if you're doing virtual, make sure that they actually sign themselves up so that they are able to submit their results easily. The second part is that we've seen a lot of success when you give your sponsors like a free coupon and have them sign up, and there's donations. They will actually donate. I worked with students from Philly. They were setting up a charity bib, and they usually just have their sponsors sign up people on an Excel spreadsheet and import them in. But this year we created like a private event for them. They still had the free entry, but a lot of them actually ended up donating. And one of the people who signed up actually got involved in Students Run Philly as a volunteer because he learned more about what the actual organization is doing rather than just getting his free bib by being a sponsor.
Yeah. Anything else, Johanna?
There's one more that I wanted to bring up, if possible, Johanna.
Go ahead.
We had this come up a couple of times in the chat. Are there many problems with participants cheating with virtual races and/or challenges? For instance, importing, they did 1,000 push-ups in one day. How do you handle suspicious inputs?
Personally, I ignore them. Most of these virtual races are not for awards based upon performance. You can obviously, as a race director, you can delete that person if you feel like they're, really going against the grain of what your virtual event is about. If you're very worried about validating performances, then I would turn on the, the review process.
And then like for the Scott Coffee Run, we set minimum and maximum times that people could submit. So like, I don't think anyone's gonna run 5 miles faster than like 25 minutes in our town. So we just set like a minimum time, and they have to be within that. So you can kind of put like parameters around that if you don't wanna create work for yourself, validating everyone's results.
Yeah, the other thing too is that there's actually a marketing side to validation. So you can use a Instagram hashtag or your Facebook group. We didn't talk much about Facebook groups, but a lot of our successful challenges have Facebook groups where people can create community and start sharing with each other. And a lot of fun stuff has happened. I've seen some really cool stuff with these groups where people, I saw someone from Greenland participating in the Great Race across Tennessee and showing pictures from there. But they also can, if it's like a push-up challenge or something like that, like, they can post a video of them doing, push-ups. If they're struggling to do 3 push-ups and they said they did 1,000 in a day, well, I'm going to bet they probably didn't do 1,000. So you can do stuff like that. Again, I would stay away from the competitive aspect of it and more the social aspect of it, because you can't spend enough money trying to validate this, basically. Because even Strava, if you say Strava's going to solve it, it's like, well, what if I just get in my car and do 9 miles an hour and set the cruise control? Like, how do you know?
Okay.
All right, I think that's a wrap.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot, Brian. Thanks,
Yes.
Allison. Thanks, Johanna. Thanks, Matt Avery.
Thanks to
everybody
everyone
for coming.
listening.
Bye.
Bye.